Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel English Literature. Today we are going to talk about Doris Lessing. The Grass is Singing. The Grass is Singing, 1950s novel by Doris Lessing. Setting is Southern Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, Africa, 1940. Born in October 1919, Persia, now it is Iran, Doris Lessing was a British Zimbabwean novelist. She moved to Southern Rhodesia with her family in 1925. And this migration, you find the reflection of this migration from to Southern Rhodesia with her family is reflected in this novel, The Grass is Singing, because you can find that both the setting is Southern Rhodesia. Okay. Her father was an unsuccessful maize farmer, and here the character Dick, he is, I feel personally that he is the representative of Doris Lessing's father, and the character who is murdered, Mrs. Turner, she is, I feel, a somewhat reflection of Doris Lessing's mother, because the aloofness, the desolation as a woman she has to experience in that far land, apart from the native relations, native houses, native acquaintances, familiarity. The man becomes busy with work and the woman feels alone, desolate. So the character of Dick Turner is molded upon him, who in search of freedom and prosperity ventured into southern Africa but found isolation and despair. Most of the people in search of they want to make their own fate, they want to make their own future, and they turn to the Southern Africa for making their own identity, want to become rich. But what happened in that time? If they become successful, that's okay, but everyone cannot be successful in that barren land, that arid land. Every arid land cannot produce fruits. And when they cannot become successful and they just left there desolate, far from their own country, own people, what they feel. That complexities are just described in this novel, that complexities and also the clash between white and black. So in this novel you will find that two types of conflict is going on. One is white versus black culture, white versus black people, and also the desperation on the one hand, the desolation, and also the other hand, that struggle to achieve something. Okay. Now, this novel opens with this murder, with a paper cutting, a mystery of the murder of Mrs. Turner. As the murderer was at hand and the reason was handy, yet the plot opens with the paper cutting of the murder mystery. There is nothing mysterious in it. Everyone knows who is murdered by whom. Mrs. Turner was murdered by her black servant, it is obvious. Even he did not murder her, it was obvious that he killed her. So everyone knows that it is the black servant who killed Moses, who killed her. So there is nothing mystery, just come and take that guy. Of course the mystery was there in the complex hierarchies of relationship between the white and the black. The shifted paradigm, continuous shifting paradigm. The master and servant, the relationship. Actually, what did Mrs. Turner did? Mrs. Turner just crossed that paradigm, that master-servant relation. She just get puzzled with this relationship, this circle. Just cross that circle, cross that bar. She, being a master, she acted as just at the same level of the servant. Again, she became confused what I am doing, I am not doing the right thing, and this confusion, this dithering condition of her just make her life hell. Boundary of class discrimination. Now title. The title is, you can have a look at the book. This is the book that Doris Lessing, The Grass is Singing. And now the title. The title is very wonderful. I feel the title is catchy and unique. And it is taken from T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. In this decayed hole among the mountains, in the faint moonlight, the grass is singing. Grass can sing. Grass can sing. Yes, grass can sing, if you can feel it. The tapestry of human fate Set at the backdrop of southern Rhodesia, Doris Lessing's The Grass is Singing is a scathing allegory of racial apartheid. What is apartheid? Apartheid is actually the segregation, the separation line between the black culture and the white culture. There is certain rules they had to follow. Certain rules for the blacks and certain rules for the white. These are just be like master and servant. They will not poke into one another's lives in that respect. They will not match with them, not mix with them, not touch them. This apartheid is the focus, the center of this novel. The novel centers around the dark trajectories of Dick Turner. So there is the character Dick Turner. I told you that this character is molded on Doris Lessing's own father, and Mary Turner, her mother, and Moses is the black servant. These are the three main characters of this, that is Dick, Mary and Moses. They are the three pillars of this novel. Mary, with an unfortunate childhood and with a drunkard father and embittered mother, he moves to the city where he leads a life in her independence. But later she married Dick and came to his farm, and here after coming in his farm he finds that it is bleak, it is murky, it is dark, it is suffocating her. She is used to the city life, but this desolate arid atmosphere makes her suffocating. So she went back to the city. But again Dick goes onto her and manipulate her and just take her in this locality. She could not adjust to her new life, and mostly with the black people working there. She just ill-treated them. She abused them, tortures them, strike them, ill-treated them. She felt an indefinable loathing towards them. There is no reason, but she behaved so severely. And for that, what happened? For her behavior, most of the people did not want to work in Dick's lands. And Dick tried to persuade her that you should not do this. So how we can prosper? But she did not listen. She felt that her husband is incapable of doing anything else, and that's why this is the reason of their failure. And that anger, that frustration, despair just falls through her attacks on the black servants. Moses was appointed by her husband, who was once whipped by Mary himself in charge of impudence. So Moses was whipped by Mary, but later in her life, Mary will be totally dependent on Moses. Gradually, Mary lost her sanity in the trench of chronic depression. Chronic depression and haunting fear, Mary will lose her sanity, and she became totally dependent on this black servant, Moses. Her husband's incompetency in handling the farm. So her husband's incompetency and that desolate situation both work together in making Mary insane. And what happened? She feels, on the one hand, she likes Moses, she depends on Moses, even she changes her dresses in front of Moses. And these things the white people did not like. So Mary became confused. Mary became confused with the line, how much she will cross the line and how much she should not. So on the one hand, she depends on Moses, she likes Moses, she loves Moses, but on the other hand, she should not do that. It is against the rule of white people to become so close to the black. And she apprehended and awaited a death at the hand of Moses. Why? Because when she became too much involved with Moses, the white people abuses her, talks at her back and against, just oppose that thing. Then she just scolded Moses and throw him out of the house. And she feels that Moses must take revenge on his duplicacy of character. So she was awaiting her death. She was awaiting for Moses to come and kill her. Very complex idea and very complex contemplation. And we can read the excerpt. This excerpt can make us understand something. And at the sight of him, her emotions unexpectedly shifted to create in her as an extraordinary feeling of guilt. Listen, the trauma, the conflict of Turner's heart, Mrs. Turner's heart, Feeling of guilt is at the one hand, but towards him to whom she had been disloyal, and at the bidding of the Englishman. So at the bidding of the Englishman, she became disloyal to Moses. So this is her guilt. That she abused him, she throws him out of the house when the Englishman told him to do so. But she depended on Moses, so it was her guilty feelings. She felt she had only to move forward, to explain, to appeal, and the terror would be dissolved. She wanted to explain to Moses, but she could not. But because there are such gap, so long gap, so long bridge between the white and the black culture, they cannot communicate with each other. They cannot express their ideas, and they cannot make one another understand the situation. So such a long gap has created for so long year. She opened her mouth to speak. She wanted to speak desperately, but she could not. Even when, if she tried to speak, I feel that Moses will not understand her. Because there are the long, mountainous, steep hill of disbelief. The landscape is drawn here beautifully because the landscape is actually the backdrop of the novel. The character's mindset, character's mindscape and the landscape works here simultaneously. The desolate, arid landscape also makes the character feel desperate, desolate. So character's mindscape and the landscape works in this novel simultaneously. Keep this point in mind. Next we will talk about, okay, this line is important. What did Mary cross the color bar? The codes and conducts of society that segregated the white from the black as well as black from the white. But they are at the same point. Mary's dependence on Moses and at the same time her dilemma, her apprehension, they both are trapped. Moses is trapped, Mary is trapped. They both are trapped inside the net of racial taboos. They cannot communicate. They cannot make one another understand. So that's why their life get doomed. Mary was killed and Moses was taken to prison and she will be hanged. He will be hanged. So this discommunication, this misunderstanding, this long bridge just killed these two persons. Okay, Lessing not only described the arid land of Rhodesia but also the barren, lonely heart of white colonizers who had to leave their community, their society and relatives and live a secluded life. Mary as well as Dick both exemplify the lonely existence of that deserted life. So Mary as well as Dick both exemplify the lonely existence of that deserted life. This book, actually winner of the Nobel Prize for Literature for the author, is worth reading not for the acclamation but the painstaking probing into the heart of the character. The characters are here portrayed and they just represent this racial hatred, this racial conflict so painstakingly. You must go through the novel and in details, and if you don't understand then you can come into this short paraphrase and it will help, I feel it will help you to understand the novel more. Okay, thank you.